Last week at the pet store, I bought a snake. I brought him home with me and I called him Jake.
A few years back, I made a video about so-called bad dinosaur films, and as part of my research, I asked the internet for some bad dino film recommendations. Most of the suggestions made at least a brief appearance in the video. The Jurassic Games, Theodore Rex, Planet of Dinosaurs, A Sound of Thunder, and like I said in the video, even though most of them were pretty bad, I wouldn't say I regretted watching any of them at least once. Even the really bad ones.
Unbelievable.
But some of them were pretty good. I thought The Last Dinosaur was okay. I mean, maybe not a masterpiece, sure, but it definitely had some cool things going on. And I thought The Good Dinosaur was at least as good as The Land Before Time, even though it's not nearly so popular. And I still think Carnosaur is a good recommendation for the right audience. But there was one film that people kept recommending that, when I finally watched it, I didn't think it was bad at all. I didn't even think it was fine. It's not a guilty pleasure or so bad it's good. It immediately cracked my top 5 favorite dinosaur films ever made. To say that I enjoyed Tammy and the T-Rex is to misrepresent the persistent nature of cathartic pleasure. I did not enjoy Tammy and the T-Rex. I am enjoying Tammy and the T-Rex. I think about it when I'm having a bad day. I am to enjoy Tammy and the T-Rex. Forever and ever, amen.
You have Michael's brain? Is that really you in there? Michael? Oh, Michael, what have they done to you?
I'm not used to this physical stuff.
Honey. Oh, he's bleeding.
He can't bleed, he's mechanical.
Part 1. The plot of Tammy and the T-Rex really isn't that crazy, just so long as you're smart, sexy, and have the right politics. Tammy and the T-Rex starts off as simple as any other story. Tammy and Michael are two happy high schoolers with a problem. Tammy's ex-boyfriend Billy is a homicidal gang leader who thinks he can force Tammy back into his life by bullying Michael out of the picture.
What we got here is one of them testicular stand-ons.
Michael manages to hold his own for a while. I mean his own, like, turf, not his own nuts.
What's the matter with you, boy? Ain't you got no balls?
I got a cup on.
But within days of going public with their relationship, Billy and his gang kidnap Michael and drop him off in a local wildlife park. Man, this is just extracurricularly cruel. I mean, anyone can kidnap somebody and dump them in a local wildlife park, but it takes a real sick bastard to pretend you're letting him go first.
Hey man, aren't you gonna tell him? I'll find out soon enough.
Michael's quickly chased down by an angry lion, but he doesn't die. A park warden manages to scare the lion off, and Michael goes to the hospital in a coma. Billy then makes another appeal to Tammy, but she and her best friend Byron tell him to get lost in no uncertain terms.
Bitch! Don't you dare touch her! I'll scratch your fucking eyes out.
We mean it, you little weasel.
But then a mad scientist by the name of Dr. Walkenstein waltzes in with his assistant Helga. Together they pretend to try and resuscitate Michael, declare him dead,
Well, that's it.
steal his body, whisk him back to their secret lab, cut out his brain, and transplant it into a life-size animatronic T-Rex.
Success!
Now that's an inciting incident. To be fair, the body-swapping brain theft thing doesn't come completely out of nowhere. There's an introductory scene earlier in the film where Dr. Walkenstein and his cronies are all marveling at the animatronic T-Rex, at which time he declares his intent to put a human brain in it.
I will give you everything. I will give you a brain. I will give you immortality.
So the audience knows he's out there, looking for a healthy brain to take from an unhealthy body. The threat that he poses is about as well established as Billy is up until that point in the film. So Michael wakes up in his new T-Rex body, not knowing where or even what he is anymore. And the first thing he sees is one of Dr. Walkenstein's henchmen desecrating his corpse.
So, what do you think? Artistic, eh?
Now at this point, we're about 35 minutes into the film, which is about as long as any audience can give a filmmaker the benefit of the doubt before their faith needs to be rewarded. And I don't mean rewarded with an effect, or a gag, or another wacky plot twist. We need an emotional payoff. Most films would be fine with giving their audience just one at this point, but Tammy and the T-Rex sees fit to give us two. The first one comes when Michael kills Dr. Walkenstein's henchman, the first time in the film that Michael actually gets exactly what he wants. Then we get an even bigger payoff. When Michael goes over to inspect his own corpse and realizes he now possesses the body of a T-Rex. This moment is weirdly affecting. Like, I feel things when I watch this scene. It is genuinely emotionally distressing. The loss of bodily autonomy, waking up in a horrifying new form. This is as much body horror as Cronenberg ever put to screen. But it's not just the horror of the moment that makes this scene work so well for me. It's Michael's distress. Even as a T-Rex, you can see just how disturbed he is. My thesis throughout this video is going to be that you can make any plot as wacky as you like, just so long as you treat the audience's need for emotional payoff seriously. Michael then kills a second henchman while escaping from the lab, and then tries to call Tammy from a nearby payphone. But she isn't home. So he stomps off to try and find her the traditional way.
The traditional way, look.
I know a lot of reviewers point out how funny it is for him to check the change slot with this goofy little glove hand here, but I think the fact that the woman he interrupts is in the middle of placing an off-track bet is even funnier.
Don't forget, $20 number 5 and the 7 to win.
Meanwhile, Tammy and Byron are over at a nearby party, trying and failing to cheer themselves up in the wake of Michael's death.
How you doing?
I don't know how I'm ever gonna get over this.
Billy is there with his gang, of course, and he tries to convince Tammy one last time to go back out with him. But of course, she wants nothing to do with him, and leaves the party in disgust. Then Michael shows up, and he's got a lot of scores to settle.
What?
We need a gun out of here! Come on, somebody get a gun!
I'm kind of surprised they went ahead and killed Billy at the halfway point of the film like this. You'd think they'd save him for a final showdown. Then again, the enemy that fights with his brain is way more interesting than the one who fights with his hands. And the movie knows this.
There's the soldier villain who fights the hero with his hands. And then there's the real threat, the brilliant and evil arch-enemy who fights the hero with his mind.
Dr. Walkenstein then becomes the big baddie. When he and Helga return to the lab and witness the carnage that Michael left behind, Dr. Walkenstein decides that Michael shouldn't be killed, but monetized.
And what do we tell our investors?
I showed them this and this, huh? I mean, they will love it. They are capitalists. They will see nothing but dollars, lots of dollars. Now, come on, we must find our dinosaur.
And adding to all that pressure is a trio of local cops, including Byron's father, who are now on the lookout for anything that could have killed all those kids at the party.
Oh my God.
Michael finally catches up to Tammy the next day at her house. He snatches her out of her bedroom window and takes her to a nearby barn to try and explain what happened. That his brain was surgically transferred into an animatronic T-Rex, despite the fact that he can't say a single word. And wouldn't you know if he doesn't somehow manage to pull it off.
Michael gave it to me.
Again, this scene is strangely affecting, poignant, dare I say, touching?
Michael, brain. Michael, brain. Michael's brain? You have Michael's brain?
You have Michael's brain?
Despite how easy it is to mock a quick summary of the plot, this film is, I think, remarkably empathic, possibly even moving.
Oh, Michael, what have they done to you?
Part 2 of my thesis here is that you can make any plot as banana nuts as you like, just so long as someone in the picture is responding to the situation appropriately. A good straight man. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what Tammy is here.
I miss you so much.
Dr. Walkenstein and Helga are encouraged to be as silly as possible, and even Byron and Billy have their goofy moments, but Tammy is here to stand solely in the audience's shoes. Like, I cannot overstate how much this film works because of Denise Richards. One reviewer said that she's only there to look pretty, and as far as I'm concerned, he couldn't be more wrong. It is not easy to act this sincerely in the face of this material, but she nails it. And you know what? The T-Rex is putting in the work too. It's only got like 6 programmable movements, but sometimes I literally forget that Paul Walker isn't in this scene because the T-Rex is so damn expressive.
Rain, pain, brain, name, brain. Sounds like brain.
So this is how you set up a third act. Tammy, Michael, and Byron team up to try and get Michael's brain back into his body. And then anybody, while Helga and Dr. Walkenstein close in. Meanwhile, the cops are searching all over town for whatever killed those kids. It all comes to a head when the heroes and villains both gotta bluff their way past the cops in order to get their shot at either rescuing or recapturing Michael.
You see, the dinosaur has a new memory system. A new computer created by growing living crystals into memory cells. It's very new indeed. In fact, it is so new that, we are hoping that it'll put America back on top. All right.
No!
Now normally, I'd probably keep going right up to the very end of the film with my plot summary, but since I'm actually trying to convince people to watch this movie, and a lot of them for the first time, I think I'll go ahead and end it here, just so long as you promise to go rent it tonight. Look, sometimes on this channel, I'll say that a film isn't classically good, but that it has enough aesthetic or thematic wrinkles to make it interesting, or to at least make it a good recommendation for the right audience. But this isn't one of those films. It's got planting, it's got payoff, it establishes threats, escalates stakes, the twists are surprising but inevitable in hindsight, all the actors know what they're doing, and the careful balancing of tone makes you laugh just as easily as it rewards your need for emotional catharsis.
It picked me up, dusted my jacket off, and it killed those 2 assholes over there.
There's also a lot of jokes at the expense of both capitalism and American exceptionalism, and that goes a long way for me.
People love their animals a lot more than they love each other. Believe me, we'll sell more little doggy bodies than people. You'll see.
And I have no choice but to conclude that this film is classically good. It just happens to have a lot of haters anyway. Oh, but speaking of haters, Part 2. Who exactly says it's bad anyway? Tammy and the T-Rex is a film whose reputation seems forever destined to precede it. It's one of those films that people hear is bad before they even hear what it's about. That's how I found out about it. People were telling me it was one of the worst dinosaur films ever made. According to who, though? You hear my cat screaming in the background. It is weirdly difficult to track down any reviews for this film from when it first came out. And by weirdly difficult, I mean I literally couldn't find a single one. The oldest review on Rotten Tomatoes is from 2003, and it's not even an actual review. It's just a score. The review on RogerEbert.com was written in 2019. Metacritic doesn't even have a page for it, and searching various trade publications individually, The Hollywood Reporter, Vanity Fair, The New York Times, all turn up nothing. Even genre mags like Fangoria and Starlog don't have it indexed anywhere that I could find. Did anyone review this film when it first came out? Possibly not. It never got a theatrical release, it went straight to VHS. I couldn't find any sales figures online, but I doubt it sold well. If you time traveled back to 1994 and asked people what they thought of Tammy and the T-Rex, 99% of all respondents would probably say, "What?"
Listen to me. Can you tell me what went on here?
It was...
They're in shock, Sheriff. You're gonna have to slap it out of them.
So if nobody in 1994 went on record, how did it get such a bad reputation? Well, when you Google worst dinosaur films ever made, it does make it onto a whole lot of top 10 lists, or bottom 10 lists as it were. Collider put it at number 9 on their list of the top 10 worst dinosaur movies. The TopTens.com and ThoughtCo.com both put it at number 4. Top Hat Sasquatch named it the second worst dinosaur film of the 90s, second only to Theodore Rex. Comicbook.com put it at number 3, and Ranker.com put it at number 1 on their list of the weirdest dinosaur movies that are too awful to ignore. But there's a telltale tale within these reviews, which reveals a lot more about the authors than it does the actual film. They're very short on actual critiques. Some of them literally just summarize the plot and move on, as if that alone is enough to discredit the film. This has got to be the most ridiculous dino movie story ever. The film is about Tammy, whose boyfriend Michael is fatally beaten and has his brain used in a mechanical dinosaur. This is all that needs to be said. Oh, come on. As if your failure to suspend your disbelief is somehow the film's fault. Others seem keen on judging the film for what it isn't, rather than what it is. Not quite a teen sex comedy, don't expect to catch any nude glimpses of the toothsome Richards, not quite an action movie, and not quite a musical, despite its one atrocious song, Tammy and the T-Rex has become a staple of bad movie nights nationwide. Okay, so this guy wanted a raunchy action sex musical with nude glimpses of the toothsome Richards, apparently. And the movie wound up not being that, so he decided to ding it. You think he dings The Godfather for not being a raunchy action sex musical with nude glimpses of Denise Richards? And still other publications that put it on their bottom 10 list seem to actually like it. The sound effects are overly cartoonish, the acting is over the top, and the story takes a number of absolutely ridiculous turns. But in the end, the film is still fantastically entertaining. Scenes where Michael, as the T-Rex, holds a payphone up to his face or attempts to play charades are hilarious, and it makes the film worth watching despite its poor quality. Okay, none of these reviews can be trusted. Or at least, they're not informative in any meaningful way. Like, it's fine if you don't like the film, but if you can't tell me why you don't like it, why should I trust you as an authority on the subject? Okay, let's cast a wider net. Tammy and the T-Rex has a user rating of 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is actually pretty good. That's clearly not where its bad reputation comes from. It has a 5.3 rating on IMDb, which isn't stellar, but that's only 0.3 points lower than the lowest rated Best Picture winner, The Broadway Melody. It's only got 41% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is definitely pretty low, but take a look at this little curio. What's this? 2 results? The gore cut? What's the gore cut? And why does it have a perfect score? The story here is that there are 2 different cuts of Tammy and the T-Rex. The first is the original VHS release, which got butchered by the film's producer in order to make it PG-13, right after writer-director Stuart Raffle handed over his final cut of the film. In the Blu-ray commentary, Raffle says that was literally the last time he ever laid eyes on it. What Raffle had filmed was a schlocky, hard-R gore fest, but apparently the producer had wanted something closer to a Disney film, so he cut out all the gore against Raffle's wishes.
He was a very old man, he was German, he was very, old European, and no, I want a family film.
If somebody wanted a family film, he probably turned it into it because he would have gone for the market demand, but you can see nothing and it really lends itself to that.
So after Stuart Raffle completed his film, an inferior PG-13 edit was hastily dumped to VHS, which is the only version people could watch for 25 years, but the original gore cut was still floating around. According to Vinegar Syndrome co-founder Joe Rubin, in an article from The Independent, I actually very easily found the lost footage on YouTube, Rubin recalls, because the uncut film had once been broadcast on Italian TV, which someone had videotaped and then cut together with the censored American video version and had then uploaded it. I watched it and enjoyed it and went searching for the rights. Ha! That is wild. I kinda want to start my own Blu-ray imprint someday, just so that I can become like a professional film rights detective. The journey from there proved unusually tricky. Rubin was sent back and forth between Raffle's wife and frequent collaborator Diane, and a number of possible leads, few of which came to anything. Eventually, he was put in touch with a man who currently owned the rights to the film, and after a couple of months of haggling, was able to get it unearthed. Raffle's original cut still existed in its entirety, so minimal technical restoration was needed. So this, I think, goes a long way to explain Tammy's terrible reputation. People only had access to a butchered cut of the film for a quarter of a century.
You know what? No pain, no gain, I mean, if you're going to make an omelet, you have to break a few eggs, right?
It wasn't until Vinegar Syndrome released their Blu-ray in 2019 that the original cut finally became widely available. And since then, it's sort of been an instant hit online. There are still plenty of detractors. That 5.3 IMDb rating didn't get there by itself, but I think the average score ultimately comes down to a matter of taste, not quality.
It's a goddamn Looney Tune.
I don't know. Maybe it really is a genius.
It's the running theme of the whole Schlock and Awe series. Do not mistake a matter of taste for one of quality, lest anyone think you don't know what you're talking about. Part 3. Unironically good. To borrow the words of YouTuber Dan Olson, all movies are kind of a miracle. But even within the typical constraints of the industry, I am amazed that this film in particular ever got made.
I know a lot of you are probably like, yeah, no kidding. But I'm talking about something other than quality.
What I mean is that nobody pitched it. This film did not start with an idea for a story. They came at it from the other direction.
Writer-director Stuart Raffle got a call from a man who was going to have access to an animatronic T-Rex for 1 week in 3 weeks' time. He asked Raffle if he thought he could write a script with a dinosaur in it within 3 weeks, and then shoot all the dino scenes within another 7 days. And Raffle said sure, and why not? Raffle was an experienced writer-director at that point, with over 2 decades of experience. The Philadelphia Experiment and The Ice Pirates were his 2 most lauded films at the time. Probably still are. He had also done a little film called Mac and Me in 1988, which is often credited as one of the worst films of all time by stupid people. Look, I'm not exactly a Mac and Me defender or anything, but I have seen Best Picture winners with tackier themes and execution. Say what you will about Stuart Raffle, the guy knows how to make movies. His films tend to set their sights pretty low, but how many times do I have to point out how much talent it takes just to make a crappy film, much less a good one? And as far as I can tell, he's never been completely out of work. This is Stuart Raffle at his first industry job, training lions on a location shoot in Africa. Apparently he got the job because he had previously trained horses as a kid in England, and someone went, that's close enough.
I know I sound critical, but honestly, I wish you could still break into the industry like this.
I don't really have a broader point here. I just wanted you to know that this is who you're making fun of whenever you bash Mac and Me.
I hate the term guilty pleasure. I mean, I know what people are trying to say when they use that term, but ultimately, it's not the film's fault if you don't like your own tastes. So bad it's good is another one I hate hearing. Were you entertained or not? Does the movie not get credit for being entertaining if you think you've discovered a way to enjoy it in a way that the filmmakers didn't intend? Trust me, the filmmakers don't care why you enjoyed a film half as much as whether or not you simply did.
And perhaps more importantly, I get the distinct impression from all the cast interviews and commentaries on the Blu-ray that these filmmakers knew exactly what they were making, and played to their strengths accordingly. Almost everyone brings up the importance of taking emotional payoffs seriously, and having enough straight men throughout the proceedings to give the audience somebody to identify with.
Oh, he really wanted to keep it serious, or play it real so that it works under the circumstances, Stuart did, and I love that, and that's the only way to work. Otherwise, it's a tongue-in-cheek, silly thing.
We were going to play this movie as straight as possible, as we possibly could, because we needed that 35 millimeter, demo reel.
Stuart Raffle seems keenly aware of the need to balance the various tones.
I did try to get performances that were real in the midst of stupidity in the story. And I always thought that was an interesting chemistry. It was like having sweet and sour in a meal, Mm-hmm. They went together good.
Terry Kaiser and Ellen Dubin were allowed to be as wacky as they liked, in both mannerism and dress. Like, this isn't the kind of film where you ask, why would the henchwoman dress like this? But rather, why wouldn't she? But everyone else was basically told to play it as straight as possible, with perhaps the one notable exception of Byron.
It's a pleasure to meet you in the flesh. Tammy talks about you all the time. And I can say, girl, you didn't exaggerate one little bit.
I know a lot of people say that Tammy's sassy gay black friend Byron aged horribly. Like, I don't want to call out any specific YouTubers, but one of them said that Byron was basically just 2 stereotypes for the price of 1.
Ooh, honey, he's gorgeous.
And I'd agree if that's all that Byron was. But he's characterized by so much more than just his race and sexuality. He makes some of the most important deductions in the film.
Oh my God, I knew he recognized me.
And possibly even has the biggest arc. He learns to stand up to his dad.
Get in the goddamn car!
No!
Now!
I said no!
Not to mention he has some of the very best jokes.
He's thinking, no, yes.
Too short.
But you can't have everything, honey.
Hurry up.
Some of the wackiness definitely strays into cringe territory, even by my own standards. I mean, I'm not about to defend every creative choice in this film.
Hang on to your boobs, girl. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
But even the cringiest jokes have what are, in hindsight, some perfectly logical explanations.
So, this is writing the script in 2 weeks with a buddy of mine, and this is what you get.
And this joke in particular, the brain boner, I never liked it as a joke, but after multiple rewatches of this film, I think it really underscores the horror and indignity of losing control of your own body. Look, they're eating pizza off of his corpse. John Carpenter wishes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't you have any respect at all?
Ultimately, it sounds like everyone involved in the production knew they weren't going to appease anyone who wanted Shakespeare, and knew that their audience was going to be like-minded people who watch films for what they are.
I was a fan of John Waters, so, it walks into that territory a little bit. So, it's kind of, when you sign up for a thing about a teenage guy who puts his brain in dinosaurs and still, you know what I mean? You're like, okay, this is, if John Waters made a horror movie, this is what it would be.
And seeing as how I'm one of those willing audience members, the movie found its target market.
And in the end, for all the criticisms you could level at this film, Raffel just shrugs them off with a casual firmness that I can only aspire to.
There's an old saying when you're in the film business. Every screenplays are like fire hydrants. Everybody wants to piss on them. And that's basically what happens with films.
So yeah, this film got made because of one cool prop and a director who liked making cheap, goofy crowd pleasers that don't take themselves too seriously.
All the scenes were shot within a 15-minute drive of his house, and his wife did much of the behind-the-scenes legwork. Diane Kerman is herself an accomplished producer and casting director, and a lot of the film's low-rent appeal is in finding actors who understood the assignment.
You stole the goddamn dinosaur! He's my friend and I'm keeping him!
It's inspiring in a way. Most of my scripts tend to be pretty high concept. Dangerous alien planets and high-stakes adventures on far-flung continents. Period pieces and convention-pushing genre flicks. The sort of projects that I'd need $100 million to ever hope to film. But watching Tammy and the T-Rex made me go back to some of the projects I'd outlined way back in high school to see if I could get excited about some smaller scale dramas that I could shoot in my own backyard.
And you know what? I could. I've got 3 or 4 old script ideas that I could theoretically shoot in my own backyard if I ever somehow found the time.
So in the end, what's left to critique? I guess my one formal complaint is that the ending is pretty abrupt. I don't want to spoil it, not completely anyway, but I do want people to be prepared. In the commentary track, Raffel doesn't even call it an ending. He calls it a tag.
Well, how am I going to end this? I need a tag to this film. Mm-hmm. And then I suddenly thought to myself, you know what? We still got the brain, so I'm going to use it.
But it's such a good tag that I'm not inclined to complain too much.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
And on one final personal note, as I was in the early planning stages of this video, I suddenly found out that I was going to have to move 1,700 miles cross-country with just 6 weeks' notice.
I didn't have a new day job lined up. I didn't even find a new apartment until I was already on the road. My TV broke, my tarantula died, and Donald Trump was elected president 4 days after I moved in. 2 days after I recorded this footage, my dog passed away.
You'd think maybe I'd have lost interest in reviewing a silly little film like Tammy and the T-Rex with everything else going on in my life, but no.
Most people don't spend a lot of time thinking about poetry, right? They have a life to live, and they're not really that concerned with Allen Ginsberg's poems or anybody's poems until their father dies. They go to a funeral, you lose a child, somebody breaks your heart, they don't love you anymore. And all of a sudden, you're desperate for making sense out of this life. And that's when art's not a luxury, it's actually sustenance. We need it.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Tammy and the T-Rex helped me through any of that. I wouldn't even say that it speaks to the specific kinds of stressors and the grief that I've been going through. But this movie's very existence is a minor miracle. It makes me feel the feels, and it encourages me to get better at my own art. It's not everything I need right now, but it is everything that I need from a movie.
As of this recording, I love Tammy and the T-Rex. But there was a brief 2-week window in there where I would have died for it.
Tammy and the T-Rex gets the Pickleback Award. What's a pickleback? It's a shot of whiskey followed by a shot of kosher dill pickle brine. I'm told you're never supposed to use non-kosher dill pickle brine, and to never, ever mix up the order. And honestly, I'm too scared to question it. I know it sounds bizarre, maybe even terrible, and it's totally fine if you hate it, but this thing knows exactly what it is and who it appeals to, and it deserves a fair shot at finding its fans. Freaks that they are. Excuse me, we are.